Welcome to our channel. Today we'll be delving into two chilling mysteries still unsolved in 2022. Ponzi scheme, Kingpin's remains found at sea. Melissa was a financial advisor from Sydney, Australia, who seemingly disappeared into thin air in November 2020. At the time, there was an investigation underway into her business practices, and it is believed that she may have taken a large sum of money from her investors. Despite a widespread search, Melissa's whereabouts remain unknown for months, leaving people to speculate about what could have happened to her. But eventually, partial human remains were discovered and later confirmed to be Melissa's through DNA testing. Join us as we try to solve the puzzle of Melissa Caddick's disappearance. Melissa was born Melissa Louise Grimley on April 21, 1971, in Lugarno, a suburb of Sydney. After finishing high school, she enrolled in secretarial and business administration courses at Patrick's College, Australia. However, it was later discovered that she had fabricated several qualifications, including degrees in finance from the University of Technology, Sydney, which had no record of her ever completing a program there. Melissa Caddick began her career at NRMA's investment division and later became an office administrator at a boutique investment bank. It is alleged that she stole less than $2,000 from the company by forging her boss's signature on several checks. She then worked as a financial advisor for Wise Finance Services, eventually purchasing a 25% stake in the company after borrowing $750,000. By 2003, she had become well known in the financial industry. Wise Melissa Caddick's extravagant spending raised suspicion among those who knew her. When asked about her lavish lifestyle, she reportedly gave different accounts of a large payment she had received from Wise Financial Services after their falling out, either as an $86 million severance package or a payout from a harassment claim. In reality, the only money she received from Wise was a return of her original $750,000 investment and a 5-year non-compete agreement. Melissa later started her own financial advisory firm, but did not hold the required license. In November 2020, authorities raided her home on suspicion that she had misappropriated around $30 million from investors through a Ponzi scheme. On the morning of November 12, 2020, Melissa Caddick vanished into the ether. Shortly after her home was raided by ASIC agents and the Australian Federal Police. Her son heard a door slam shut at around 5:30 a.m. and assumed it was Melissa going for her daily exercise, but she never returned. She left behind all of her possessions, including her phone. In February 2021, the Assistant Commissioner of the New South Wales Police Force held a press conference to announce a chilling discovery. A decomposed human foot had been found in a shoe on Bournda Beach on the state's south coast, around 500 kilometers from where Melissa was last seen. The shoe matched Melissa's size and fit the description of the footwear she was wearing during the raid on her home. DNA testing of samples taken from her toothbrush and family members confirmed that the foot belonged to Melissa. The location of the foot, along the south coast, matched the tidal and drift patterns that had been modeled by marine police, suggesting that if Melissa's body had entered the water near Dover Heights, it would likely wash up on the shore near Boomergooey, which is about 40 kilometers north of Tathra. The investigation into Melissa's disappearance and the circumstances surrounding her death remains ongoing and is one of the most high-profile missing persons case in the past 30 years, with the discovery of the foot only raising more questions. The KFC killer, murder in Sin City. On the morning of May 3, 1973, a brutal crime was committed in the Las Vegas apartment of 19-year-old Barbara Jean Kirk. When her husband left for work, an unknown assailant broke into the apartment, strangled Barbara to death with KFC apron from her place of employment, and set the apartment on fire. Nearly 50 years later, the case remains unsolved, a haunting reminder of the dangers and mysteries that lurk in the world around us. Barbara Jean Kirk was a small-town girl from Paris, Tennessee, who had married her high school sweetheart, Renzi Kirk, the previous summer. Renzi, a 21-year-old airman stationed at Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, had moved the newlyweds into a small apartment in the Bonanza Gardens complex in East Las Vegas, where Barbara worked part-time at KFC, located just a few minutes away. But tragedy struck in November 1972 when Barbara was held at gunpoint and robbed while working at the KFC. The perpetrator, who was never caught, made off with $150 in cash and a bag of chicken. Less than 6 months later, on May 3, 1973, Barbara's husband left for work in the early morning hours, leaving her alone in the apartment. A few minutes later, a neighbor was awoken by a scream from the Kirk's residence. 20 minutes passed with no further signs of distress, but at 5:30 a.m., 2 men living in the complex noticed smoke seeping from the Kirk's apartment. As the sun rises over the Las Vegas skyline, the city awakens to the news of another brutal crime. The air was filled with the sound of sirens as investigators arrive at the scene, a small apartment complex in the outskirts of the city. As they enter the apartment of Barbara Jean Kirk, they are confronted with a scene of unimaginable horror. The young woman's body lies on the floor, her neck wrapped in a KFC apron, the symbol of her place of employment. The apartment is filled with the smell of smoke, and the detectives quickly realize that this was no ordinary murder. Someone had deliberately set the apartment on fire in an attempt to obscure their trail. As they begin to piece together the events of that fateful morning, the detectives are left with more questions than answers. Who would have wanted Barbara Jean Kirk dead? Was the killer someone she knew, or a stranger who targeted her at random? And what was the motive for this heinous crime? Was it simply a robbery gone wrong, or something more sinister? As the detectives work to solve this mystery, they are left to wonder, will they ever find the person responsible for this brutal murder, or will the case remain forever unsolved? What's your theory about what occurred on that day? Comment below. Thank you for watching our video on chilling mysteries still unsolved in 2022. Don't forget to share this video, like, comment, and subscribe for more chilling tales, unsolved mysteries, and haunted histories. Until next time, stay safe.